I plan to read three poems that I just wrote, but Rorschach and Ian heard them yesterday, and I'm going to read them tomorrow night. One of them is going to rather any face poem to someone that hasn't been vaccinated, and Teresa's read them. So I shopped around, and I had two chapbooks out in the last 2 years. I'm going to read one. We had a guest poet yesterday, or a guest writer in the small group we had, named Chick Donahue, who told us that the movie of his book, the greatest beer run ever, is started filming this week. So I'm going to go back to an old poem, but I'm going to throw in some words as we go along. By way of the Vietnam War. November 1967. The story begins in Doc Fiddler's. That's a bar in my old neighborhood. The anti-war protests were heating up, and some of my old neighborhood weren't having any of it. A super patriot bartender, who will be played by Bill Murray in the movie, was one of the most upset. The guys we have over there will think we don't support them. Then he sees on a plan, someone's going to have to go over there and buy them a beer. What, go over there? He had it all worked out. He was going to borrow merchant seaman papers from a good friend of mine and go himself. The friend, John Chick Donahue, only a little less crazy at the time, knew he couldn't give up his papers, so he said, I'll go. And go he did with the list of local serving and a lot of beer on an ammo ship, the SSS Drake. On January 19, 1968, the Drake anchored in Quanai, and Chick was off on his adventure. And 40 years later, it became a book. The book, the story of him hitching through a war zone in a Madrid shirt that made officers think he was CIA. The story of him conning officers that he was looking for his stepbrother to tell him that their mother had died. The story of him finding one local almost as soon as he got off the ship and thinking that it would be easy for the rest. The story of him finding another in an ammo base and actually being picked up in a Jeep, I know, as he was hitching. The story got more serious when he reached the fourth on the front line and was issued a weapon when the enemy was sighted. The story got even more serious when he missed his ship departure and went to Saigon to look for another and got caught in the Tet Offensive. Yeah, he eventually found another ship, which took him to Seattle and the plane back to New York. Then a cab back to Doc Fiddler's. Since then, he has owned a bar, worked for years as a sandhog, then got an MPA from Harvard without having the college degree. Hopefully, I whet your appetite. The book is The Greatest Beer Run Ever, a true story of friendship greater than war, by Chick Donahue and J.T. Malloy. Then one more, probably the most fictional poem that I've ever read. A Halloween Party. This is another chapbook that was written for local Gents Publishing. One year I was asked to a Halloween party by a woman who I had just begun to work with. At 9:30, I showed up at the dress I was given, masked as the Lone Ranger, with the bottle of Dew Black Label as a gift. A woman answered the door, dressed as Cleopatra, then relieved me of the bottle and told me to enjoy the night. I moved through the crowd and eventually found the seat on the couch next to a woman with long hair and a black gown. Looking around, everyone seemed to be having a good time, smoking and drinking, talking, with a few dancing. Suddenly, a woman sitting in the chair across from me opened her vest, revealing her breasts, and two men knelt in front of her and began to suck them. Wow. Before I could show well, whatever this word is, consternation at such a public display. The woman turned next to me, leaned over to graze my neck with her teeth, then said, "Yes, you'll do." She dropped to my calf and I was biting through my jeans as she reached over my belt. Before I lost control, I said, "Wait a minute, is this a Hargrave's house?" The woman sat up quickly and said, "No, they live next door, house on the right." I got up quickly, thanked it, and got out the door, fixing my clothes as I went. When I got into the right party, the hostess recognized me and said, "I thought you weren't coming this so late." But I explained that I was at the house next door and left my bottle of scotch there. Uh, those guests probably have already finished it. She told me not to worry and said that those people next door are weird. And I think the woman thinks she's a vampire. I replied, "She may be right. Thank you for putting up with my 2